Today we're going to be talking about the 5 themes of geography. Geography could be defined as the study of people, their environment, and their resources. This is basically a description of the area, the physical features in which they have chosen to settle down, the types of climate, maybe weather patterns that they're going to have to endure as a result, and the natural resources that are around the area that are going to either help or hinder their overall survival. As we look at the 5 themes of geography as it relates to history, every event happens somewhere. In order for us to truly understand why things happen, we also have to know where it happens. If we know where on the globe something happens, that is going to give us contextual clues about the people and how they live their lives in that area. It can give us an idea of their ethnic background, the predominant religions of the area, certain cultural traditions that would maybe affect the decisions that they make. We may not always understand or agree with these decisions, but at least we have a greater understanding of why they made the decisions that they did. The first of the 5 themes of geography is location. Location could be defined by answering the question, where is it and how do I get there? Location can be looked at from 2 different ways. The first is exact location. Exact location is a very specific pinpoint on a map. In essence, it eliminates all other possible locations on the globe. There is only one specific spot that something could have happened. We can pinpoint this location by using latitude and longitude. Latitude are the horizontal imaginary lines on a map that start at the equator and move north and south toward the globe. They're the horizontal lines on the map. Longitude lines are the vertical lines that start at the prime meridian, which runs through Greenwich, England, and then move east and west around the globe. We combine the longitude with the latitude, and that gives us those numbers that our GPS uses when we ask it to get us from where we're at to where we want to go. The other way to reference location is through relative location. We can say that an event happened in Yosemite National Park. Now, we don't know the exact place in Yosemite, but we do know that Yosemite is in California. So we have ruled out a significant portion of all possible locations on the globe of where it happened because we know that it happened in the general area of Yosemite. The second theme of geography is place. Place could be defined by asking the question, what is it like to live there? I kind of like to use the analogy of this is that little mental picture we get in our mind when somebody mentions a place. If somebody says they went to Hawaii on vacation, we automatically think of beautiful beaches, palm trees, coconuts, people on surfboards out on the water, everybody wearing shorts because the temperatures are mild, lots of lush green vegetation. That's that little mental picture that we have, and we get that from pictures that we have seen of Hawaii, or maybe because of our own experiences if we happen to have actually been there ourselves. But when we answer the question, we want to look at the physical and human characteristics of the location. Is it in the mountains? Is it in the desert? Is it by a river? What type of animals live there? What is the vegetation? Is it pine trees? Is it lush rainforests? These are the types of things that, again, enhance that little mental picture that we have in our mind that would give us a clue of what it's like for people who actually live in that area. Human design features also represent things like how we use the land. If we think of the Midwest, we think of agriculture, we think of farming communities. Driving across Nebraska, it is hour after hour of cornfields. Your nearest neighbor may be 5 miles down the road. That would have an effect on how you live your life, your sense of community that you have, it would be a very different way to grow up than growing up in the area that we are in. The third theme of geography is human environment and interaction. This could be defined by answering the question how people relate to the land, how they are affected by it, and how they have modified it. You maybe not have noticed recently, but we do actually happen to live in a desert. But we have modified our environment so that we can pretend that we don't. We put big cement walls at the mouth of the canyon so we can collect water, so that we have it available for us to be able to use whenever we want to water our gardens and to water our lawns and our trees, so we can have this lush green environment and we can pretend that we don't live in a desert. We have changed things so that we are more satisfied with our overall environment. This doesn't have to be on a large scale, though. We think about our homes, and every once in a while your parents or your mother gets this idea to rearrange the furniture or to redecorate the living room or to remodel a certain area of the house. They are changing their environment so it is more pleasing to them. The fourth theme of geography is movement. Now, people move for various reasons, but all of those reasons have some sort of effect on the environment. A lot of people move because of things like religion. Sometimes people want to move so that they are closer to the center of their religious faith. Other people move for work. Many of you maybe have moved into this area because your parents got a job and so you had to relocate. Now, as we look at history, sometimes people have moved for different reasons than what we move today. We talk about the prehistoric people in this next unit. They would move for food. You wake up one morning, they're nomadic in nature, and the herd that they've been following as their food sources moved on, they're going to pack up and follow it if they want to keep their chances of survival high. I don't know of anybody today who's moved so they could be closer to their favorite restaurant. But back then, to these prehistoric people, that was very important. We also see the movement of ideas, especially in this information digital age that we live in. As we have events that are happening around the world, it no longer have to wait until the 5 o'clock or the 10 o'clock news to hear about them. We're hearing about them instantaneously because people are sharing pictures and videos and their feelings and their descriptions of these events over the internet, over Twitter, over Facebook, social media. So we hear about these things very quickly. And that movement of ideas can affect people's perception of an event, which can then cause them to react and maybe affect some positive change. The last of the 5 themes of geography is regions. Now, this is areas with specific characteristics, things that areas have in common. Like the 2 maps that are shown, the first one is the political map. It shows the boundaries of the countries. Now, if we were to take this map and compare it to a political map 100 years ago, it would look very different. As countries come together or as they split apart, we would be able to see the changes within the political map, and we would be able to use that as a source of history. The other map is of the distribution of the major world religions. Again, if we were to look at that map maybe 50, even 100 years ago, we would see a much different picture of what religions are out there that have the majority of the world's population supporting them and where those people congregate. Again, as we look at that over time, we can see how people have moved from place to place, what religions have grown and what religions have shrunk in regards to overall congregation sizes. Now, I understand as we go through this, it's relatively quick, and so I've created some questions for us to be able to kind of think about as we go through this to see if you truly understand what each of these 5 themes represent. You will be doing an assignment on the 5 themes, so the better you understand them, the easier your assignment will be. So our first question here, spread of ideas, is an example of which of the 5 themes? Spread of ideas is an example of movement. The building of dams and interstate highways are examples of human-environment interaction. It's the way that we have modified our environment so that we can store resources or make it easier to get from one place to another. The third question is, what is it like to live there? Now, if you remember, this is the question that we asked to help in defining place. It's that little mental picture that we get in our head when somebody says a location, and we go, oh, that's the way they live. This is their culture. These are the human or physical characteristics that are surrounding them. 4, latitude and longitude are used with which theme? That theme would be location. Latitude and longitude are those imaginary lines on a map that help us determine exact location. Question number 5. Places with similar characteristics. This would be region. Again, these are similar characteristics that can be represented on a map, and as we look at maps from various time periods, we can see where things have stayed constant or where things have changed, and maybe gain a greater understanding of some of the events that have led to those changes. Continents, hemisphere, world religions are all examples of. This is also region. We look at the continents, whether it be North America, South America, Europe, Africa, Asia, those give us those contextual clues of the areas, what it's like to live there. Now, if we split the Earth in half at the equator, we get the northern hemisphere, which is where we live, and the southern hemisphere, which is where Australia and Antarctica is. If we split the Earth the other way through the prime meridian, then we create the eastern hemisphere and the western hemisphere. The Americas is in the western hemisphere. Again, that's where we're at. Pretty much the rest of the world is in the eastern hemisphere. That's Europe, Asia, and Africa. But these can all be represented on a map. 7, relocating to a different place for work would represent, correct, movement. Number 8, somewhere in the United States. This would be location. By saying that it's in the United States, we have eliminated all other possibilities on the globe. We know it's not in Europe, it's in the United States. Now, we may not know exactly where in the States, but we have narrowed our search down to a geographic region. Number 9, buildings, irrigation, shopping, farming, language, or religion. Now, this one may be a little bit harder, okay, but these are all human characteristics of a place. Again, as we think about the Midwest, very heavy in farming and agriculture, those miles of cornfield. And that gives us that idea of what it would be like to live in a very isolated spot, surrounded by plants, where your grocery store may be an hour and a half away. And the clearing of vegetation to grow crops. Again, this is an example of human-environment interaction. As our population grows, so does our need to produce more crops. We have to clear land. We are modifying our environment to create farmland so we can grow those crops. Here are some additional resources that you can use if you still have some questions about the 5 themes. Just for information, the first link is to a video on TeacherTube that a geography teacher created that's in the form of a rap that may help you remember the 5 themes of geography. Because I'm going to give you a hint. You're going to need to be able to list them on a test. I hope this little video has been helpful to you. If you have any further questions, please don't hesitate to contact me.